This is verse 64 of the 6th chapter of the Gospel of John. Jesus is declaring to those who are in his presence there in the synagogue in Capernaum, and including his disciples, who become more and more the focus of this conversation, that the words that he's speaking to them, they are life-giving, and that is the life that is going to issue forth in faith, in belief. Here he indicates that just hearing the words doesn't necessarily translate into faith, because we find that there are some who continue not to be believers. And that's exactly what Jesus says. This first sentence here is really continuing to quote from Jesus, all. This is the contraction of Allah, the strong conjunction, but elided here before the third person plural, present active indicative verb, eimi, so there are, but they are, ex humon. This is the preposition ek, it takes the genitive. This is the second person, plural genitive pronoun, ex humon, of you, there are of you, tenes, indefinite pronoun, some, who, this is hoi, the relative pronoun. There are some who, in the plural, masculine singular nominative, who pistuusen, who do not believe, third person plural, present active indicative. There are some of you who do not believe. You've heard the words. The words have not been lost on you in terms of just hearing them, and yet even in the case of you who've heard them, there is a lack of faith. It doesn't necessarily follow that just because a person hears in an auditory sort of way the words of Jesus, that automatically creates faith, although it certainly does on some occasions. Well, John adds the explanatory comment here, ade, from this is from ado, it's the pluperfect active indicative, third person singular. Usually the word had is included to give sense to the pluperfect, so he had would be the idea. For post-positive conjunction, for he had eggs. Again, the same preposition as here, takes the genitive archase, as in archaeology, such words means the beginning. He had from the beginning, or out of the beginning. In other words, this is not something that he learned along the way, discovered by virtue of a kind of process of gathering information, but he had from the beginning known. Ho Jesus, ade, of course, means to see or to know. So Jesus had from the beginning known. Tenes, this is the interrogative pronoun, same as this word, but with the accent there, it is interrogatives. He had known who, and then asen, same as this word, who are, hoi, and this is the article now, the me pistuontes, the may not believing ones. This is the present active participle, masculine singular nominative. So he had known who the not believing ones were. Kai, who, and interesting, this is singular now, whereas this was plural. And so this is focusing in particularly, presumably, on Judas, who are the not believing ones, and who, interrogative pronoun again, esten, third person singular, present active indicative, who is ho paradosen. Who is ho paradosen? This is from paradidomi, to deliver over, has to do with delivering over as in usually some kind of judicial process. It can also have to do with tradition, delivering over in that sense, but here, of course, it has to do with betraying, for example. Who is, singular, the betraying him one? Not all of them had believed. And John gives the explanation that from the beginning, Jesus had known who the ones were who didn't believe, and especially who the one was who, in such a state of unbelief, would be the one who would actually deliver Jesus over for the events of the crucifixion that were going to be taking place soon enough.